If nobody's watching you right now, congratulations. You're the most dangerous person in the game. And if no one sees you coming or you feel invisible or like you missed your shot and you're too late, you're perfectly set up for greatness. Here's the truth that no one wants to tell you about. The most dangerous person in business is the one who's underestimated. If no one's watching, no one's betting on you, then no one's bracing for your impact. And that's your leverage and your extreme advantage. Today, I'm breaking down 3 hard truths about obscurity and why it's not weakness. It's the most powerful place to build something meaningful and legendary. I personally built a 9-figure company from my garage. I invested early in SpaceX, and I've helped countless people become millionaires. But this isn't just my story. This pattern repeats everywhere, especially with people that nobody believed in. Walt Disney was fired for lacking imagination. Then he built a universe that depended on imagination. Ray Kroc didn't start McDonald's until he was 52 years old. Then he changed the way the world bought food. And the Wright brothers had no funding, no titles, and no degrees, and they still beat the academic elite to soar the skies. I'm telling you this because if you're watching right now and you feel like you've missed your shot or like it's too late, or maybe that the field you're in is too crowded or you've been overlooked unfairly, you're not behind. You're in excellent company and your moment is right now. So let's get right into it. Point number 1 is the underdog advantage. You have to realize that obscurity is a weapon. Think about it. If no one sees you coming, they cannot prepare for you. There's no target on your back. There's no spotlight on your moves. You're invisible, and that's what we call freedom. When I was building one of my early AI businesses, a friend called me and he was frustrated. He said that he had no brand, no authority. And you know how everyone's talking about a personal brand? No one knew he existed. He told me, how am I supposed to compete with other guys? And I told him something that he didn't expect. I told him that his invisibility is an edge. See, I had weight at the time. I had clients, investors, overhead, and I had expectations, but he didn't. That means he had flexibility and speed. And in business, almost nothing is more important than those 2 attributes. He just couldn't see it because he was stuck in the middle of wanting that viral fame. So here's the truth. When you're unknown, you're dangerous because you're underestimated. You've got no reputation to protect. That gives you agility and speed. There's no audience to please, no pressure to be perfect. You can just test, pivot, fail, and rebuild. And no one even notices. It's not like your Apple computers and you have to do a big keynote once a year. That's real leverage. You've got unlimited shots on goal until you make it. And if you miss, who cares? Crickets. You're back to where you started with 0. But every shot is going to teach you, and every miss is going to sharpen your aim. Eventually, one of them is going to be your grand slam. I want you to remember what Michael Jordan said. He told the world that he'd missed over 9,000 shots in his career. He said he'd lost almost 300 games, and 26 times he was trusted to take that game-winning shot, and he missed. He said that he failed over and over in his life, and that's why he was the greatest champion of all time. That's the game right there. You keep shooting until the world has no choice but to notice you. You've got to make it unreasonable for anybody to ignore you. When I founded a private company, it could have been worth $1 billion if it went public. We did well over 100 million in sales. And we had very happy customers, but it still crashed due to a black swan event that was out of my control. But I dusted myself off and I didn't quit. I wasn't afraid to look like a failure because failure was my tuition that I knew I had to pay. There's this famous quote that Edison said, Thomas Edison, the inventor of the incandescent light bulb. He said, "I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that wouldn't work." And that's how you have to think. You've got to keep swinging. You've got to keep missing. And that's how you learn to hit your first grand slam. So here's the takeaway I want you to write down. Take the shot, then take another. The scoreboard doesn't matter if you're invisible, but your swing does. So step number 2, I call nail it, then scale it, because chaos can't compound effectively. Most people try to grow too fast and they think scaling will fix things. If they're struggling at a micro level, they're going to do great at a macro level. But in reality, they're just scaling chaos and confusion. It's like strapping a rocket engine to a shopping cart. And it looks exciting, but it's not going to work. And small businesses don't win by acting big. They win by learning fast and pivoting. Small is nimble, small is lethal, And here's an example to prove it. If company A signs 100 customers and keeps them, and company B also signs 100 but churns them just as fast, then 3 years later, company A has 300 loyal buyers, but company B is exhausted, broke, and the founders all want to quit. See, you don't win by doing more, you win by compounding. A great example of this is MailChimp, the email company. You know, they never raised a single dollar of venture capital. They had no flashy PR, no hype machine. Arguably, their name and logo wasn't even that good. And they quietly bootstrapped all the way to $700 million in annual revenue. And then they sold for $12 billion. See, while others chased followers and viral algorithms, they chased retention. They focused on the fundamentals, and that's what wins. And that's what Shopify did as well. Shopify, you may not know this, it started as a snowboard store, like a ski store, but for snowboarding. And they couldn't find a platform they liked, so they built one. And then without any fanfare, that little tool turned into a $200 billion ecosystem. See, retention is the real growth engine. Everything else is just noise. So how do you build something that people stick with? You have to create an insanely irresistible offer. It's got to be something so good that people feel like idiots telling you no. And to do this, it comes down to 5 key constituent parts. First, you want to pinpoint the pain. What's frustrating your customers? What's keeping them stuck? Then cast the dream. What do they want? And what would change their life in an aspirational sense? 3, stack the solutions. Brainstorm every way to solve the problem in a done for you and done with you fast track. Number 4, trim and package. Cut the fluff. Keep only what delivers massive value with low friction. And 5 is anchor the value. Don't lead with price, lead with the results. When the offer is truly insane, the price stops mattering as much. I see this mistake being made with AI agents and agentic AI. People are applying them to things like secretaries or receptionists, but that's not really a pain point for a business to optimize its receptionist. What a business is always trying to optimize is its top line revenue, and receptionists don't bring in top line revenue. So that's a point to remember if you're in the agentic AI space. Forget vanity metrics. Build something so good people whisper about it. It's got to be something that they can't shut up about. So here's your takeaway to write down. Stop trying to go viral. Stop trying to hit the algorithm and build something so sticky that it grows initially by whispers, not megaphones. You always want to aim for the whisper, not the megaphone. That's your real launch pad. My third point is the real enemy isn't the market, it's approval. So let's talk about enemies, the bad guys, the competitors. Most people worry about their competitors. They stay up late at night thinking about them. But at the beginning, your biggest enemy is you. It's the version of you that scrolls online instead of building or producing. It's the version of you that watches content instead of contributing and making something worth watching with hooks. That's battle number 1. But if you win that fight, enemy 2 shows up. And enemy 2 is someone or something you might least likely expect. It's your friends and your family and those in your inner circle. See, some will cheer when you start and others will mock, but it's not because you're wrong. It's because your ambition makes them scrutinize their own lives and makes them uncomfortable. They'll say things like, you've changed, you're obsessed, you just don't have time anymore, you're a workaholic, or any one of these pejorative terms. But what they're really saying is that you're becoming someone that they don't recognize, and they want you to be like them. And most people, when they hear that, they fold, not because the market beats them, not because of burnout, and not because they chose approval over purpose. So let me say this very clearly. You will outgrow people you care about. It could even be your wife or your parents. And if you don't, your dream will shrink until it fits inside their world. You have to keep going. You must resist this pressure. And then the next challenge is leadership. Now you've got to convince people to believe in a vision that doesn't fully exist yet, like Shopify going from a snowboard store to a platform that's powering a new generation of commerce. You're selling something that's a dream. It's invisible to the majority of people, and you have to manage chaos with a smile. Everything in entrepreneurship that can go wrong will go wrong. So you have to lead with belief, because leadership is not a title. You shouldn't even call yourself a CEO. A CEO is a fake title. You have to become a magnet. You either attract or you repel others. And if you grow big enough, real enemies start to show up. I've met my fair share of them. Lawsuits, regulators, backlash. And it's not because you're wrong most of the time. It's because now they're watching you grow. And when you're small and you're too fast to hit, they don't care as much. But when you grow, they start aiming and regulating you at the bureaucracy. So here's your takeaway. What you do now when no one's watching is sacred ground. Think about it like a temple, because when the spotlight finally hits, every mistake that you didn't iron out in this ghost period is going to become very expensive. Let's zoom out now and digest all this information together. If nobody knows your name right now, that's good. And it's not a weakness, that's leverage. You have room to experiment, to build, and to fail quietly. And you can do what others can't because they're being watched and scrutinized from everyone. But before you scale, I want you to really analyze your offer and nail it. You've got to make it so insanely good that people feel lucky to become your customers. And stop worrying about who's ahead of you. Your real enemy is in the mirror. It's not the YouTube algorithm. It's the voice in your head that says you're not ready yet. And that voice doesn't need to be destroyed. It needs to be outgrown. You don't need followers right now. And you don't need clout. And you don't need permission from gatekeepers. You need clarity. You need discipline. And you need to build systems, and your systems will outwork you. You need to keep showing up even when no one claps, because every empire starts with a chess move that no one sees. And the people who win, they don't wait to be discovered. They move quietly and powerfully until the world simply cannot ignore them anymore. So if you're in the shadows right now, or you think you've missed your shot, I want you to do the opposite of what you're being told. I want you to stay in the shadow. I want you to work there like you're a chemist or a scientist in a lab. And I want you to claim small victories because the loud ones burn out. And as an entrepreneur, you want to chase whispers, not megaphones. And when you've got enough whispers, it turns into an unstoppable tsunami. That's how greatness happens for your brand. So if you're in the shadows right now, I want you to do the opposite of what you're being told. I want you to stay in the shadows and work there like you're a chemist or a scientist working on a potion. You're going to analyze your small wins. And I want you to win in a micro state, not a macro state, because the loud ones often burn out. And I want you to chase the whispers, not the megaphones. When you get enough whispers, it turns into a roar that's unstoppable, and it will build a true legacy. So thanks for watching this video. Check out my last video right here, and I'll see you on the next one.